Welcome back to our old coins prices. Imagine reaching into your pocket, pulling out a handful of loose change, and spotting a Lincoln penny dated 1964 with a small D mint mark. Most people would barely look at it. Some might even toss it into a jar without a second thought. But what if that ordinary-looking penny was quietly hiding a value of up to $100,000? Today, we're diving into the fascinating story of the 1964 D mint mark Lincoln penny, a coin that proves life-changing treasures don't always look extraordinary at first glance. At first sight, the 1964 Lincoln penny feels familiar. Abraham Lincoln's portrait looks the same as millions of other pennies you've seen your entire life. The copper color doesn't shine any brighter than the rest. And yet, this coin was struck during one of the most important and unusual periods in U.S. mint history, a time when tiny details could make a massive difference in value. The year 1964 was a turning point for American coinage. Rising metal prices were causing major changes behind the scenes at the U.S. Mint. Copper was becoming more expensive, and the government was already planning dramatic shifts in how coins would be made in the years that followed. During this chaotic period, millions of pennies were produced at the Denver Mint, marked with that small but powerful letter D. Most of these pennies are common. But a very small number were struck with special characteristics, mistakes, or unusual qualities that collectors aggressively search for today. These are the coins that can turn a 1-cent piece into a 5-figure treasure. It all comes down to details. Tiny details that most people never notice, but collectors obsess over. One of the most important factors is condition. A 1964 D penny that has been circulating for decades, scratched, worn, and dull, may only be worth a few cents. But one that somehow survived in near-perfect condition is a completely different story. Pennies with sharp details, full mint luster, and no major marks can sell for astonishing prices when graded professionally. Some 1964 D Lincoln pennies were struck with double die errors, where parts of the design appear doubled, especially on the date or the lettering. Look closely at the numbers in 1964, the word Liberty, and the phrase "In God We Trust." If you see clear doubling rather than simple wear, you could be holding something special. Another highly valuable error is the off-center strike. These pennies were not properly aligned when struck, causing part of the design to be missing or shifted. While extreme off-center strikes are rare, when they occur on high-quality coins, collectors are willing to pay serious money. There are also repunched mint marks to watch for. In earlier years, mint marks were punched into the coin dies by hand. Sometimes, the mint mark was punched more than once, leaving a visible shadow or doubling around the D. These varieties are subtle, but once you know what to look for, they stand out. Most 1964 pennies are made primarily of copper. But during this transitional era, experimental strikes and unusual planchets have been rumored and documented. If a penny weighs differently than expected or reacts strangely to a magnet, it deserves closer inspection. Coins struck on the wrong metal planchet can be extraordinarily rare and valuable. Someone cleaning out an old desk drawer finds a roll of pennies wrapped decades ago. Inside that roll is a crisp 1964 D Lincoln penny, untouched by circulation. They send it to a professional grading service, expecting nothing more than curiosity. Weeks later, the coin comes back with a high mint state grade and a recognized variety. Suddenly, that forgotten penny is valued at tens of thousands of dollars. Collectors across the United States constantly share stories of incredible finds discovered in pocket change, inherited collections, and even loose coins from grocery store transactions. The reason is simple. Pennies are everywhere, and because they're so common, people rarely inspect them closely. First, check the date and mint mark carefully. Make sure it reads 1964 and has a clear D below the date. Use good lighting and, if possible, a magnifying glass or coin loupe. Second, examine the condition. Look for strong details in Lincoln's hair, face, and coat. Check the reverse for sharp wheat lines. No wheat here, but focus on the Lincoln memorial. The columns should be well defined, not blurred. Third, hunt for errors. Slowly inspect the lettering and numbers for doubling. Look for unusual spacing, off-center designs, or strange marks that don't look like damage. Fourth, weigh the coin. A small digital scale can reveal whether the penny matches the standard weight. Even a slight difference could point to something unusual. And finally, never clean the coin. Cleaning can destroy value instantly. If you believe you found something special, leave it exactly as it is and consider professional evaluation. The 1964 Lincoln penny is not ancient. It's not locked away in museums or billionaire collections. It's young enough to still be out there, mixed in with everyday change, waiting for someone who knows what to look for. Every time you ignore a penny, you might be passing up a hidden opportunity. Every jar of spare change could be holding a silent surprise. And once you train your eyes to notice these details, you'll never look at Lincoln pennies the same way again. The coin world is full of surprises, but few are as exciting as the idea that a 1-cent coin could be worth $100,000. Not because it's flashy or famous, but because it was overlooked. We're diving deep into the incredible story of the 1986 no-mint mark Lincoln penny. A coin that has shocked collectors, stunned experts, and turned ordinary people into believers overnight. And by the end of this video, you might feel an uncontrollable urge to check every penny you own. The year 1986 was a fascinating moment in U.S. coin history. The United States Mint was still adjusting to changes in metal composition, striking methods, and quality control. Pennies were being produced in massive numbers, especially at the Philadelphia Mint, which traditionally does not use a mint mark. That's why many 1986 pennies appear with no letter under the date. A very small group of 1986 no-mint mark Lincoln pennies were struck with extraordinary characteristics. Coins that slipped through unnoticed at the time, but today are among the most talked about modern Lincoln cents in the collector world. Let's start with the metal itself. In 1986, pennies were made primarily of zinc with a thin copper coating. However, collectors have discovered rare examples that show abnormal weight, improper bonding of the copper layer, or planchet errors that should never have left the mint. These mistakes are extremely rare, and when they occur on a coin from a high-demand year like 1986, the value can skyrocket. Next, we have striking errors. Some 1986 no-mint mark pennies were struck off-center, double-struck, or even show dramatic double-die features. This means parts of the date, the word liberty, or the famous phrase "in God we trust" appear doubled or distorted. To the untrained eye, it may look like a defect. To a collector, it can mean tens or even hundreds of thousands of dollars. A normal circulated penny is worth almost nothing. But a 1986 no-mint mark Lincoln penny in pristine, near-perfect condition can be something entirely different. We're talking about coins that have never been used, never touched by human hands, and show razor-sharp details with full mint luster. Collectors compete fiercely for these coins. Auctions have proven that when the right buyer meets the right penny, prices can reach unbelievable levels. 6 figures. Sometimes more. And that's how the idea of a $200,000 penny becomes very real. Someone pours out an old jar of change. Among the nickels, dimes, and ordinary pennies sits a 1986 no-mint mark Lincoln penny. It looks normal. But something feels different. The weight feels off. The shine looks unusual. A closer look reveals a doubling in the date. That person sends it to a professional grading service. Suddenly, a penny that once sat forgotten is now worth more than a luxury car. More than a year's salary for many people. All from 1 cent, and here's the most exciting part. Many 1986 pennies are still out there. They're still in circulation. Still in old collections. Still hiding in drawers, boxes, and piggy banks across the country. Start by checking the date. Make sure it's 1986 and has no mint mark under the year. Then examine the coin closely under good lighting. Look for doubling on the letters or numbers. Check the surface for strange textures, lines, or missing details. Weigh the coin if possible. Even a small difference can be a big clue. Most importantly, never clean the coin. Cleaning can destroy its value instantly. If you believe you've found something special, keep it safe and consider having it professionally evaluated. The 1986 no-mint mark Lincoln penny is proof that incredible treasures can hide in the smallest places. Proof that history, mistakes, and timing can transform a single cent into a life-changing fortune. But what if this single penny was secretly worth up to $300,000? What if the fortune you've been waiting for has been hiding in plain sight, slipping through pockets, cash registers, and old jars for decades? Today's story is not just about a coin. It's about awareness. It's about timing. And it's about the shocking truth that life-changing money can come from the smallest, most ignored objects around us. The 1980 no-mint mark Lincoln penny was struck during one of the most important transition periods in U.S. coin history. At first glance, it looks like millions of others. Abraham Lincoln's calm profile on the front. The familiar words "In God We Trust" along the rim. The year 1980 sitting quietly beneath Lincoln's shoulder. On the back, the Lincoln Memorial stands tall and proud. Nothing unusual. Nothing flashy. Or so it seems. In 1980, the U.S. Mint was still producing pennies made primarily of copper. Just 2 years later, everything would change forever, as the Mint shifted to cheaper zinc-based coins. That makes 1980 one of the last years of the true copper Lincoln cents. And when copper meets human error, rare legends are created. Most people believe that if a coin has no mint mark, it must be common. That belief has caused countless valuable pennies to be ignored, spent, and lost forever. Pennies with no mint mark were struck in Philadelphia, and while most are ordinary, a very small number were born with dramatic minting errors that make them incredibly valuable today. One of the most valuable varieties involves off-metal errors. These are coins that were accidentally struck on the wrong metal planchet. Imagine a 1980 penny struck on a silver-colored blank meant for another coin. The weight is wrong. The color is wrong. And to collectors, that mistake is worth a fortune. Another major value driver is the double die error. This happens when the coin design is impressed more than once, slightly misaligned. On a genuine double die 1980 penny, you may notice doubling in the date, the word liberty, or the phrase "In God We Trust." The doubling is not damage. It's not wear. It's a true mint error created at the moment the coin was born. Then there are broad strike errors, where the coin is struck without a proper collar. The result is a wider coin with a distorted rim. Add strong details and original copper color, and collectors take notice immediately. A normal 1980 no mint mark penny in circulated condition is worth just 1 cent. That's why these coins continue to move unnoticed through everyday transactions. But when an error coin survives in near-perfect condition, untouched by circulation, its value can skyrocket. Professional grading plays a huge role. Coins graded at the highest levels, with sharp details, strong luster, and clear errors, have stunned the market. Private sales and high-end auctions have reported jaw-dropping prices for rare error pennies from transition years, including examples valued in the hundreds of thousands of dollars. Most rare coins are not found in museums. They are found by ordinary people. People cleaning out old drawers. People counting loose change. People who decided, just once, to look closely instead of spending mindlessly. Some of the most famous discoveries came from jars that sat untouched for decades. A penny dropped in during the 1980s, forgotten, ignored, waiting for someone curious enough to look again. Second, check for a mint mark. If there is no letter under the date, that means it was minted in Philadelphia. Third, examine the color and weight. A true copper penny from 1980 should have a rich reddish-brown tone and weigh around 3.11 grams. Anything unusual deserves attention. Fourth, use a magnifying glass. Look closely at the date, the lettering, and Lincoln's profile. Doubling that looks clean and intentional could indicate a double die error. If you notice anything strange, do not clean the coin. Cleaning destroys value instantly. Place it in a soft holder and consider professional authentication. The difference between someone who finds a rare coin and someone who spends it is knowledge. That's it. Not luck. Not money. Just knowing what to look for. Right now, somewhere in America, a 1980 no mint mark Lincoln penny with a rare error is sitting in a jar, a drawer, or a forgotten box. Its owner has no idea it could change their life. That coin doesn't look rich. It doesn't feel powerful. But its value is hidden in history, metal, and mistakes. After today, you won't look at loose change the same way again. You'll pause. You'll check dates. You'll examine details. And one day, you might be the person who turns a single penny into a life-changing moment. If you enjoyed this story and want to learn how to spot more hidden treasures hiding in plain sight, make sure you stay connected with us. The next coin we reveal could already be in your pocket. Imagine holding a simple Lincoln penny in your hand. A penny you've probably seen 1,000 times before. A coin so common that most people wouldn't even bother bending down to pick it up. But what if I told you that one specific Lincoln penny, the 1970 D Mint Mark Lincoln penny, could be hiding a value of up to $400,000? This is not a rumor. This is not a fantasy. This is a real story from the world of rare coin collecting, where ordinary people have discovered extraordinary wealth in the most unexpected places. Today, I'm going to show you why the 1970 D Lincoln penny is so special, what makes certain examples incredibly valuable, and how you might be holding one of these hidden treasures without even knowing it. So stay with me, because once you learn these details, you will never look at a Lincoln penny the same way again. The United States Mint was producing millions of pennies every single day. Most of them were made to circulate, to be spent on candy, newspapers, and everyday purchases. The Denver Mint, marked with a small D beneath the date, struck an enormous number of Lincoln cents that year. To the average person, there was nothing special about them. During this time, the Mint was experimenting with dies, metal flow, and striking pressure. Mistakes happened. Tiny errors slipped through quality control. And those mistakes are exactly what collectors search for today. One of the most valuable versions of the 1970 D Lincoln penny involves rare minting errors that are almost impossible to see unless you know exactly where to look. Some 1970 D pennies were struck with dramatic double die features. This means certain letters, numbers, or details appear doubled, as if they were stamped twice. On a genuine example, you may notice doubling on the date, especially the numbers in 1970, or on the word liberty, or even in the motto "I in God we trust." This doubling is not damage. It's not wear. It's a mint error created during the die-making process. Another incredibly rare and valuable variation involves off-metal strikes. In extremely rare cases, a 1970 D penny may have been struck on the wrong planchet. That means the coin was made on a metal blank intended for a different coin. When this happens, the weight, color, and even the sound of the penny can be different, and when one does surface, it can sell for tens of thousands, sometimes even hundreds of thousands of dollars, depending on condition. Most pennies from 1970 have been circulating for decades. They've been scratched, worn down, and damaged. Those are worth only a cent or two. But a 1970 D Lincoln penny in near-perfect condition, especially one with full original luster and sharp details, is a completely different story. Coins are graded on a scale, and the highest grades are extremely hard to achieve. If a rare era 1970 D penny is professionally graded and authenticated at a very high level, its value can skyrocket. There are documented cases where rare Lincoln cents with major errors and exceptional condition have shocked the coin world at auction. Collectors compete fiercely for these coins, sometimes driving prices far beyond expectations. Many of these valuable pennies were not discovered by professional collectors. They were found by ordinary people. People checking old jars of coins. People sorting through inherited collections. People who simply decided to look closely instead of spending their change. You're holding a penny you've had for years. You look closer. You notice something strange about the date. The letters look thicker. Something feels different. You send it for authentication, not expecting much. Next, examine the letters and numbers carefully. Use a magnifying glass if you have one. Look for doubling, especially on the date, Liberty, and I in God we trust. True doubling will look clean and raised, not flat or smeared. Then, check the overall condition. Is the coin unusually sharp? Does it still shine? Are the details crisp, especially Lincoln's hair and beard? Finally, if you believe you've found something special, never clean the coin. Cleaning can destroy its value instantly. Instead, store it safely and consider having it professionally evaluated. Even if your penny isn't worth $400,000, it could still be worth far more than 1 cent. Rare coins are still out there. They are still circulating. They are still hiding in drawers, jars, and forgotten boxes. Every time you receive change, there is a chance, however small, that you're holding a piece of history worth a life-changing amount of money. The 1970 Lincoln penny proves that incredible treasures don't always come from deep underground or locked vaults. Sometimes they come from the simplest places. You're holding a small, ordinary-looking Lincoln penny from 1968. It feels light in your hand. You've probably seen thousands just like it before. Most people wouldn't give it a second glance. Some might even toss it aside without thinking twice. But what if I told you that this exact penny, with a small S mint mark, could be hiding a value of up to $500,000? Yes, you heard that right. A single penny. $500,000. And the most shocking part is this: coins just like it are still out there today, quietly moving through pockets, cash registers, old piggy banks, and dusty jars, completely unnoticed. This isn't a fantasy. This is real coin history. And by the end of this video, you'll understand why the 1968 S mint mark Lincoln penny has become one of the most talked about modern era coins among serious collectors. So stay with me, because once you learn what makes this penny special, you may never look at loose change the same way again. The year 1968 was a turning point in American coinage. The United States Mint was still adjusting after removing silver from circulating coins just a few years earlier. Production methods were changing, quality control was inconsistent, and minting experiments were happening behind the scenes. That year, pennies were struck at 3 locations: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. The San Francisco Mint used a small S mint mark, placed just below the date on the obverse side of the coin. At first glance, there's nothing flashy about it. Abraham Lincoln looks the same. The wheat ears are gone, replaced by the Lincoln Memorial. It looks like an everyday coin. But hidden within certain 1968 S pennies are rare characteristics that can turn a 1-cent coin into a life-changing discovery. One of the biggest reasons this penny can be so valuable comes down to strike quality and rare minting errors. During this period, the San Francisco Mint was producing both proof coins and regular circulation coins. Sometimes, mistakes happened. Dies were overused. Details became weak. In rare cases, the wrong planchets were used, or dies were improperly prepared. Collectors today hunt fiercely for 1968 S pennies with strong, sharp details, especially in the word Liberty, the date, and Lincoln's hair and beard. A fully struck coin with deep, clean lines is already desirable. But when you add rare errors, the value can skyrocket. Some of the most valuable examples include doubled die errors, where parts of the lettering or date appear doubled. This doubling isn't damage. It happens during the minting process and can only be seen on coins struck with flawed dies. When genuine, these errors can multiply a coin's value instantly. Another highly prized variety involves repunched mint marks. In 1968, mint marks were still punched into the die by hand. This means the S mint mark might appear slightly doubled, tilted, or misplaced. To an untrained eye, it looks like a tiny flaw. To a collector, it can mean tens or even hundreds of thousands of dollars. A 1968 S Lincoln penny in average circulated condition might only be worth a few cents. But a coin preserved in near-perfect or flawless condition is an entirely different story. Coins graded MS-67, MS-68, or higher by professional grading services are incredibly rare. These coins often come from rolls that were never circulated or were carefully stored for decades. When a coin like this appears at auction, competition becomes intense. Wealthy collectors, investors, and museums all want the best example. Prices climb fast. This is how a simple penny can reach values approaching $500,000. There are documented cases where rare high-grade Lincoln pennies shocked the coin world, selling for amounts nobody expected. Every time it happens, it reignites hope. Because if it happened once, it can happen again. And here's the most exciting part. Unlike ancient gold coins or limited edition collectibles locked away in vaults, Lincoln pennies were mass-produced. Millions were made. That means rare varieties can still be hiding in plain sight. They could be sitting in an old coffee can at your grandparents' house. They could be mixed in with spare change at a local store. They could even be in your pocket right now. First, check the date. It must read 1968. Next, look just below the date for a small S mint mark. Then examine the coin carefully under good lighting or a magnifying glass. Look for doubling in the letters of Liberty, Indiana God We Trust, or the date itself. Check the mint mark closely for signs of doubling or unusual placement. Also pay attention to overall quality. Is the coin unusually sharp? Are the details crisp? Does the surface look clean and original, without heavy scratches or wear? If you think you've found something unusual, don't clean the coin. Cleaning can destroy value instantly. Instead, store it safely and consider having it examined by a professional coin dealer or grading service. The truth is, most people never look closely at their pennies. They see small change as worthless. But history has proven again and again that fortunes are sometimes hidden in the smallest places. The 1968 S mint mark Lincoln penny is more than just copper and zinc. It's a reminder that ordinary objects can carry extraordinary value. It represents possibility, luck, and the thrill of discovery. Somewhere out there, another rare penny is waiting to be found. And the next story that stuns the coin world could start with someone just like you, taking a second look at a simple coin. You reach into your pocket, pull out a handful of loose change, and among the nickels and dimes sits a simple Lincoln penny dated 1996 with a small D mint mark. You've probably seen this coin 1,000 times before. Most people wouldn't give it a second glance. But what if I told you that this exact penny, under the right conditions, has shocked collectors with values reported as high as $600,000? It sounds unbelievable, but this is how many life-changing coin stories begin. Ordinary people. Ordinary change. And one extraordinary discovery. Today, we're diving deep into the mystery of the 1996 D mint mark Lincoln penny. Why collectors are obsessed with it, what hidden details make it special, and how you can check your own pennies to see if you're holding onto a small copper fortune. The year 1996 might not seem special at first glance. It wasn't a wartime year. It wasn't the first or last year of a design. Millions upon millions of Lincoln cents were produced. And yet, within those massive numbers, a few rare and powerful variations quietly slipped through the system. The Denver Mint, marked by the small letter D beneath the date, was striking pennies at a rapid pace. Speed was everything. And when speed increases, mistakes happen. Tiny mistakes. Almost invisible mistakes. The kind that most people miss but serious collectors spend their entire lives searching for. One of the most important things collectors look for on a 1996 D Lincoln penny is strike quality. Some coins were struck with unusual pressure, creating sharper details than normal. Look closely at Lincoln's hair, the lines in his coat, and the lettering in Liberty and in God We Trust. On rare examples, these details appear unusually bold, crisp, and almost proof-like. Even though the coin was meant for everyday circulation, some 1996 D pennies show double die characteristics. That means parts of the design were stamped twice, slightly off alignment. To the naked eye, it may look like thicker lettering. Under magnification, you might see doubling on the date, the word Liberty, or even Lincoln's eye and profile. This type of error is one of the most hunted features in modern Lincoln cents. Why? Because genuine double-die coins are extremely rare, and collectors are willing to pay enormous premiums for them. Then there are off-center strikes. These happen when the coin blank isn't positioned correctly during striking. The result is a penny where part of the design is missing, shifted, or cut off. Most off-center coins are minor and not valuable. But dramatic off-center strikes with full dates and mint marks visible can skyrocket in value. A circulated 1996 D penny, even with minor errors, might be worth a few dollars or a few hundred at most. But an uncirculated example, especially one graded at the highest levels by professional grading services, is where the real money lies. Coins graded MS-68, MS-69, or higher are incredibly rare. Most pennies get scratched, worn, or damaged almost immediately after entering circulation. Finding one in near-perfect condition is like finding a needle in a haystack. Collectors have already paid jaw-dropping prices for top-grade modern Lincoln cents. Auction records have proven again and again that rarity plus condition plus demand equals explosive value. And the 1996 penny sits right in that sweet spot for serious collectors who specialize in modern U.S. coinage. These coins are not locked away in museums. They weren't all pulled aside by collectors. Many of them were spent, dropped into jars, handed over at grocery stores, forgotten in drawers. That means anyone, anywhere, could stumble across one. A cashier, a student, a parent cleaning out an old coin jar. The next $600,000 discovery could be sitting just a few feet away from you right now. First, find any 1996 Lincoln pennies with a mint mark. Use a magnifying glass or a jeweler's loupe. Look carefully at the date and lettering for doubling. Examine the edges and the center alignment. Check the surface for unusual textures or missing details. Second, protect the coin. Do not clean it. Cleaning can destroy value instantly. Place it in a soft holder or flip to prevent scratches. Third, if you believe you've found something special, consider professional authentication. A certified grade can be the difference between a cool curiosity and a life-changing payday. The world of coin collecting is filled with stories that sound too good to be true. But again and again, history proves they are real. Ordinary coins, extraordinary value, and people who almost spent their fortune without ever knowing it. Imagine holding a penny that looks so ordinary you might not even bother to bend down and pick it up. A simple Lincoln cent dated 1979, no mint mark, the kind that has passed through millions of hands without anyone giving it a second thought. But what if I told you that this exact penny, sitting quietly in pocket change or forgotten in an old jar, could be worth up to $700,000? It sounds impossible. Unreal. Almost like a fantasy. Yet stories like this are exactly what keep collectors awake at night and searching through their change every single day. Today, we're diving deep into the mysterious world of the 1979 no mint mark Lincoln penny. A coin that appears common on the surface, but under the right conditions, with the right hidden details, becomes a once-in-a-lifetime treasure. This is not just about money. This is about discovery. About that heart-pounding moment when an ordinary object suddenly becomes extraordinary. The year 1979 was a fascinating time in U.S. coin history. The Lincoln cent was still made primarily of copper, just before major changes in composition would begin to alter the feel, weight, and value of pennies forever. The Philadelphia Mint, which traditionally does not place a mint mark on its coins, produced millions of pennies that year. On paper, that sounds like the opposite of rare, but rarity in the coin world doesn't always come from low numbers. Sometimes it comes from mistakes. Sometimes it comes from timing. And sometimes it comes from tiny details that almost no one notices. Most 1979 pennies are worth just 1 cent. That's the truth. But a very small number of them are not like the others. These special coins were born from unusual conditions at the mint, striking errors, and rare die varieties that transformed them into collector legends. One of the most valuable possibilities is a rare error strike. These errors happen when something goes wrong during the minting process. A misaligned die, improper pressure, or a damaged die can create a coin that looks slightly off to the untrained eye, but wildly valuable to an expert. A 1979 no mint mark penny with a dramatic off-center strike, a broad strike, or a significant double die can command astonishing prices, especially if it is preserved in near-perfect condition. Double die errors are among the most exciting. These occur when the coin's design is struck twice at slightly different angles, creating visible doubling in the lettering or numbers. On a 1979 penny, this doubling might appear in the word liberty, the date, or the phrase "I in God we trust." Another factor that can push values into the hundreds of thousands is condition. Coin grading is everything. A penny that has never been circulated, never scratched, never damaged, and has full original luster is in a completely different league than one that's been bouncing around pockets for decades. Professional grading services evaluate coins on a scale, and the highest grades are incredibly rare. A top-grade 1979 no mint mark penny with a rare error could ignite a bidding war among elite collectors. There are documented cases where collectors purchase seemingly insignificant coins for just a few dollars, only to discover later that they were sitting on a gold mine. Auctions have shocked the numismatic world when rare pennies cross six-figure price tags. $700,000 is not just a number. It represents freedom. It represents a changed life. And it all starts with knowing what to look for. Second, look for the mint mark. If there is no letter under the date, it means it was minted in Philadelphia. No mint mark is essential for this specific variety. Third, examine the coin closely under good lighting. Use a magnifying glass or a jeweler's loupe. Look carefully at the lettering and numbers. Any doubling, thickness, or shadow-like outlines could indicate a double die error. Next, check the alignment. Is the design perfectly centered, or does it appear shifted? Off-center strikes are immediately noticeable and highly collectible. Then, weigh the coin. A standard copper penny from this era should weigh around 3.11 grams. Any significant difference could point to a planchet error, another major value booster. Finally, consider the condition. If the coin looks unusually shiny, sharp, and untouched, do not clean it. Cleaning a coin can destroy its value instantly. Instead, store it safely and consider professional grading. Most rare coins are not found in museums or vaults. They are found by ordinary people. People who decided to look twice. People who didn't assume they already knew what something was worth. Right now, somewhere in the world, a 1979 no-mint mark Lincoln penny is sitting unnoticed. Maybe it's in a coffee shop cash drawer. Maybe it's in a child's piggy bank. Maybe it's in your own home. The difference between losing it forever and turning it into a fortune is awareness. When you understand the story behind a coin, you stop seeing spare change. You start seeing possibilities. And even if you don't find a $700,000 penny tomorrow, every coin you examine sharpens your eye. Every search brings you closer to that moment when your heart skips a beat and you realize you've found something special. Imagine holding a small, ordinary-looking Lincoln penny in your hand. A penny from 1942. No mint mark. The kind of coin you might find at the bottom of a drawer, inside an old wallet, or mixed in with loose change. Most people would barely look at it. Some might even toss it aside without a second thought. But what if I told you that this exact penny could be worth up to $800,000? This is not a fantasy. This is not a rumor. This is one of the most fascinating stories in American coin history, and today, I'm going to show you why the 1942 no-mint mark Lincoln penny has stunned collectors, shocked auction houses, and turned ordinary people into overnight success stories. Stay with me, because once you understand what makes this penny so special, you will never look at your pocket change the same way again. The year 1942 was unlike any other time in American history. The United States was fully involved in World War II. Every material mattered. Copper, nickel, steel, everything was needed for the war effort. Factories worked around the clock. The U.S. Mint was under extreme pressure to produce coins quickly while conserving resources. That pressure led to mistakes. And in the world of coin collecting, mistakes can be worth a fortune. Most people know that in 1943, pennies were made from steel instead of copper. But what many don't realize is that the transition didn't happen perfectly. In 1942, the mint was still striking copper pennies, but errors, variations, and rare conditions slipped through unnoticed. The 1942 no-mint mark Lincoln penny was struck at the Philadelphia Mint. That's why there is no mint mark under the date. Millions were made, but only a tiny number survived in exceptional condition or with rare characteristics that make collectors' hearts race. So what separates an ordinary 1942 penny from one worth hundreds of thousands of dollars? Most 1942 pennies were heavily circulated. They were used during wartime, passed from hand to hand, spent in shops, carried by soldiers, and worn down over decades. Finding one today in pristine condition is extremely rare. The most valuable examples are those graded at the very top levels by professional grading services. We are talking about coins with sharp details, full mint luster, clean surfaces, and almost no signs of wear. These coins look like they were struck yesterday, not over 80 years ago. Some of the most valuable 1942 no-mint mark pennies have subtle mint errors. These include off-center strikes, die cracks, double details, or unusual planchet characteristics. These tiny flaws are invisible to the untrained eye, but to collectors, they are priceless fingerprints of history. Imagine a coin that survived wartime production, escaped heavy circulation, avoided damage for decades, and still carries a rare mint error. That combination is almost unheard of. And that is where the massive value comes from. In high-grade condition, with the right characteristics, a 1942 no-mint mark Lincoln penny has sold for prices that shock even experienced collectors. Auction records show that top-tier examples can reach staggering amounts, with values climbing toward $800,000 in the most extreme cases. That's not pocket change. That's a house. That's financial freedom. That's a life completely transformed by a single coin. What makes this story even more powerful is that these pennies are still out there. They are not all locked away in museums or private collections. Some are sitting in old jars. Some are hidden in inherited collections that haven't been examined in decades. Some are still quietly moving through the world, mistaken for ordinary cents. People have found rare coins like this in estate sales, flea markets, bank rolls, and even in their own families' belongings. Ordinary people, with no special connections, who simply took the time to look closely. Third, examine the condition. Look for sharp details in Lincoln's hair, face, and coat. Check the wheat ears on the back. Are the lines crisp? Is the surface smooth? Does the coin still have a rich copper color or original shine? Fourth, look for errors. Use a magnifying glass. Look closely at the lettering. Check for doubling, cracks, or anything that looks unusual. Sometimes the smallest detail can mean the biggest difference. If you believe you've found something special, never clean the coin. Cleaning can destroy its value instantly. Instead, have it evaluated by a professional coin grading service. Collectors don't just buy coins. They buy stories. And the story of a wartime penny, struck during one of the most intense moments in American history, surviving decades untouched, is incredibly powerful. That's why these coins create bidding wars. That's why prices soar. That's why a simple penny can be worth more than most people earn in a lifetime. How many pennies have passed through your hands without a second glance? How many jars, boxes, or drawers in your home might be hiding something extraordinary? How many times has history quietly sat right in front of us, waiting to be noticed? The 1942 no-mint mark Lincoln penny is proof that treasure doesn't always sparkle. Sometimes it looks ordinary. Sometimes it weighs just a few grams. Sometimes it hides in plain sight. It could happen tomorrow. It could happen at a garage sale. It could happen when someone finally decides to look closely at an old collection that's been ignored for years. That's why knowledge is so powerful. When you know what to look for, the world changes. Every coin becomes a possibility. Every penny becomes a question. Every small detail matters. Welcome back to our old coins prices. Imagine holding a small, ordinary-looking Lincoln penny in your hand. It's dated 1982, with a tiny D mint mark beneath the year. Most people wouldn't think twice about it. They'd spend it, drop it in a jar, or let it disappear into pocket change. But what if I told you that this exact penny could be worth up to $100,000? Yes, a single 1982 D mint mark Lincoln penny could be hiding a fortune, and the scariest part is this truth. Pennies like this are still out there today, quietly moving through gas stations, grocery stores, and old coin jars, completely unnoticed. Tonight, I'm going to show you why this coin is so special, what makes it incredibly rare, and exactly what to look for. And once you hear this story, you may never look at a Lincoln penny the same way again. The year 1982 was one of the most important turning points in the history of the Lincoln penny. Rising copper prices forced the U.S. Mint to change how pennies were made. Before 1982, pennies were almost entirely copper. After 1982, most pennies were made from zinc with only a thin copper coating. During this chaotic transition, the mint didn't switch overnight. Instead, both copper pennies and zinc pennies were produced in the same year, sometimes even in the same facilities. This confusion created one of the most fascinating error-filled years in U.S. coin history. The Denver Mint was supposed to produce only zinc pennies that year. Copper pennies with a D Mint mark were never officially authorized. But somehow, a very small number of copper planchets were struck with the D Mint mark. Most 1982 pennies you find today will weigh around 2.5 grams. Those are zinc. But the rare copper versions weigh about 3.1 grams. That tiny difference is the first major clue that separates an ordinary penny from a potential six-figure treasure. Collectors dream of finding a genuine 1982 D copper penny because so few are known to exist. Verified examples are extremely rare, and when one appears, the coin world pays attention. There are multiple varieties of the 1982 penny. Large date and small date designs. Strong strikes and weak strikes. And in rare cases, dramatic minting errors like doubled dies, off-middle strikes, and transitional errors. The most valuable versions combine several factors at once. A D Mint mark, copper composition, correct weight, sharp details, and excellent condition. Some experts believe that if a flawless 1982 D copper penny were confirmed and graded at the highest level, it could sell for over $100,000 at auction. That kind of money can change a life. Someone empties an old coffee can filled with loose change that's been sitting untouched for decades. Inside are dozens of pennies from the early 1980s. Among them, one penny feels just slightly heavier than the rest. That single moment of curiosity could lead to a discovery worth more than a brand new car. More than a house down payment. More than many people earn in years of work. Collectors have already found rare transitional pennies in circulation. Coins that were never supposed to exist. Coins that slipped past quality control during one of the busiest production years in U.S. mint history. The 1982 D penny is especially dangerous to overlook because it looks so normal. Abraham Lincoln's portrait is familiar. The design hasn't changed much. There's nothing flashy about it. First, look at the date. It must be 1982. Then look for the D Mint mark under the year. Next, weigh the coin. A digital scale is essential. If it weighs close to 3.1 grams, your heart should start beating faster. Then examine the details. Look for sharp lettering. Check the date style. Inspect the edges and surfaces for unusual characteristics. Even small anomalies can dramatically increase value. Never clean the coin. Cleaning can destroy its value instantly. If you believe you have something special, store it safely and seek professional authentication. A certified grading service can confirm whether your penny is genuine, copper, and rare. That confirmation is what transforms a 1-cent coin into a six-figure collectible. It's the idea that history, chance, and human error combine to create something extraordinary. A tiny coin, made during a rushed year of change, accidentally became a hidden treasure. I want you to imagine something very simple. You reach into your pocket, pull out a handful of loose change, and there it is, a 1991 Lincoln penny with no mint mark. An ordinary coin, right? The kind most people wouldn't even bother picking up off the ground. But what if I told you that this exact penny could secretly be worth up to $200,000? It sounds unbelievable. A single cent, hiding a fortune big enough to change your life forever. Yet stories just like this have already stunned the coin collecting world. And the most shocking part is this: these pennies are not locked away in museums or billionaire collections. They are still out there, quietly moving through pockets, cash registers, old jars, and forgotten drawers. This isn't just another penny. This is a coin struck during a fascinating moment in U.S. minting history, when tiny variations, small mistakes, and rare conditions created treasures that only the sharpest eyes ever notice. Most people spend these coins without a second thought. Collectors, however, know that one small detail can mean the difference between 1 cent and hundreds of thousands of dollars. In that year, millions of Lincoln pennies were struck at the Philadelphia Mint. That's why these coins carry no mint mark under the date. At first glance, they all look the same. Abraham Lincoln's familiar portrait on the front. The Lincoln Memorial on the back. Copper color. Nothing special. Or so it seems. But hidden among these common coins are rare varieties and extraordinary examples that collectors are willing to pay massive money for. One of the biggest reasons a 1991 no-mint mark Lincoln penny can become extremely valuable is condition. Most pennies from this year were heavily used. They passed through countless hands, machines, and pockets. Finding one in near-perfect condition today is incredibly rare. Coins graded at the very top levels, with sharp details, full original luster, and no visible damage, are the ones that command jaw-dropping prices. Professional grading services examine these pennies under magnification. They look at every tiny detail: the sharpness of Lincoln's hair, the clarity of the lettering, the smoothness of the fields, and the strength of the strike. A flawless example can stand out instantly from the rest. Some 1991 no-mint mark pennies are valuable because of mint errors. These errors happen during the striking process, when something went slightly wrong at the mint. A tiny mistake, unnoticed at the time, can turn an ordinary penny into a collector's dream. Look closely at the date and letters. Some rare examples show doubled dies, where parts of the design appear doubled or shadowed. This doubling isn't damage. It's a result of the die being misaligned during production. To a trained eye, it's a clear sign of rarity. Other valuable errors include off-center strikes, where the design is not perfectly centered on the coin, and broad strikes, where the penny appears slightly stretched. There are also pennies with unusual planchet errors, where the coin was struck on the wrong type of metal or with incorrect thickness. These errors are not common. In fact, most people will never see one in their lifetime. But they do exist, and when they appear on a 1991 no-mint mark penny in high condition, the value can skyrocket. Collectors don't just pay for rarity. They pay for mystery, history, and the thrill of discovery. A top-grade 1991 no-mint mark Lincoln penny, especially one with a verified error, becomes a symbol of that thrill. It represents the idea that treasure can be hiding in plain sight. There are documented cases where rare modern pennies have sold for tens of thousands, even hundreds of thousands of dollars, when they meet the perfect combination of condition, rarity, and collector demand. When bidding wars begin at major auctions, prices can rise far beyond what anyone expected. Imagine realizing that a penny you've ignored for years is suddenly worth more than a luxury car, more than a house down payment, more than many people earning years of work. Every single day, people unknowingly spend rare coins. They drop them into tipped jars. They hand them over at gas stations. They toss them into jars at home. Somewhere right now, a 1991 no-mint mark Lincoln penny with incredible potential is quietly waiting. Start by checking the date. Look for 1991 with no letter under the year. Then examine the condition. Is the coin shiny? Are the details sharp? Does it look unusually clean compared to other pennies? Next, look closely at the lettering and numbers. Any doubling, strange spacing, or unusual thickness could be a clue. If you suspect something special, don't clean the coin. Cleaning can destroy its value instantly. Instead, store it safely and consider having it professionally evaluated. This is why collectors say the greatest treasures are not always buried underground. Sometimes, they're hiding in your pocket. Once you learn what to look for, you'll never see a Lincoln penny the same way again. That small copper coin you've ignored your whole life might be holding a secret powerful enough to change everything. Imagine holding a seemingly ordinary Lincoln penny from 1945, a no-mint mark Lincoln penny in your hand, the kind most people would barely glance at, or toss aside without a second thought. But what if I told you that this small copper coin could be hiding a fortune worth $300,000, a treasure that could truly change your life forever? This isn't just any penny. This is a rare collectible that coin enthusiasts dream about. Every line, every curve, and every tiny detail on this coin tells a story from a unique moment in history. And if you know what to look for, it could be sitting right in your pocket, in a dusty jar, or even hiding in the change at your local store. Now, you might be wondering, how can a coin that looks so ordinary possibly be worth so much? The secret lies in its rarity, its condition, and the subtle differences that separate a regular penny from a collector's masterpiece. Some of these coins were struck under unusual circumstances, or with tiny errors that make them one of a kind. And that's exactly what makes them so valuable. Let's take a step back to 1945. The world was emerging from the shadows of a global conflict, and everyday life was slowly returning to normal. Lincoln pennies were being produced in massive quantities, but even in those large numbers, a few special coins slipped through, carrying marks, flaws, or characteristics that made them rare in ways most people could never imagine. Fast forward to today, and these same pennies are selling for hundreds of thousands of dollars. Collectors have spent decades searching for coins like this. Some have found them tucked away in old jars, hidden in forgotten drawers, or even in their own childhood piggy banks. And when they do find one, the results can be astonishing. Stories abound of ordinary people discovering a rare penny and instantly gaining access to life-changing sums of money. Imagine finding a coin in your pocket change that suddenly changes your entire financial future. Not all 1945 Lincoln pennies are worth this kind of money. You have to know what to look for. The most valuable coins are in exceptional condition, with crisp details and no major wear. Certain errors, tiny differences in the minting process, or even unique patterns on the coin can drastically increase its value. It's the kind of knowledge that separates a casual coin holder from a millionaire collector. So, how can you identify one of these hidden treasures? Start by looking closely at the details. Examine the date carefully. Sometimes small variations in the numbers can signal a rare variety. Check the edges for unusual marks, doubling, or other irregularities. And inspect the surface for any unexpected features that don't match standard pennies from that year. Even a tiny difference can be the clue that turns a regular coin into a multi-thousand-dollar find. It's also worth noting that professional grading can make a huge difference. Coins that are certified by experts often sell for much higher prices than those sold privately. The grading process evaluates the coin's condition, rarity, and historical significance, providing collectors with confidence that they are investing in something truly special. Now, imagine holding that penny in your hand. The copper gleams, the date is clear, and you feel a connection to the past. You're holding a piece of history, a tiny artifact that survived decades, passed from person to person, unnoticed by the masses, until now. The excitement builds because somewhere out there, a coin just like yours could be waiting to make someone's dreams come true, and this is why coin collecting is so thrilling. Every jar of spare change, every coin in circulation, has the potential to be extraordinary. The thrill of discovery, the possibility of uncovering something rare, it's a feeling unlike any other. You never know when the next valuable penny will surface, but when it does, it's life-changing. So, the next time you find yourself holding a seemingly ordinary penny, take a moment to really look at it. Examine it from every angle. Study the details. Think about the history behind it. Because that penny might not just be a penny. It could be a hidden treasure waiting to be discovered. Thank you for watching, and remember, sometimes the smallest objects hold the biggest secrets. Keep your eyes open, because your fortune might just be hiding in plain sight. We're diving into something that might just change the way you look at your spare change forever. Imagine holding a seemingly ordinary Lincoln penny from 1982 with no mint mark in your hand, the kind most people barely glance at, or toss aside without a second thought. But what if I told you that this small copper coin could secretly be worth $400,000? That's right, a coin hiding a fortune that could change your life forever. This isn't just any penny. It's a rare treasure that collectors dream about, struck during a unique moment in history. There are tiny details, subtle variations, and hidden clues on these coins that only the sharpest eyes ever notice. These are the details that can turn an ordinary penny into a fortune in the blink of an eye. Somewhere out there, pennies just like this one are slipping through everyday pockets, cash registers, and dusty jars, waiting for the right person to uncover their true importance. Stories of people discovering these pennies and turning them into life-changing money have already stunned the coin world. And the most incredible part is this: the next discovery could be yours. Well, 1982 was a unique year for U.S. pennies. It marked a period of transition from copper to zinc compositions. Most pennies that year were made primarily from zinc, but a small number were still struck in copper. And this tiny difference is what can make the difference between an ordinary penny and one that can sell for hundreds of thousands of dollars. Collectors pay close attention to weight, color, and texture. A copper 1982 penny will weigh slightly more than its zinc counterpart, and careful examination under the right lighting can reveal the true material. These coins are like hidden messages from the past, subtle, overlooked, but immensely valuable to those who know what to look for. Now, imagine holding a jar of loose change you've had for years. Most of the coins are ordinary, but somewhere in that jar, there could be a 1982 no-mint mark copper penny waiting to be discovered. And when that moment happens, it can be life-changing. People have gone from regular collectors or just casual savers to sudden millionaires overnight, all thanks to spotting these rare coins. The thrill isn't just in the potential money, it's in the hunt, in the discovery, and in knowing you've found something almost everyone else missed. Every scratch, every mark, every tiny detail on the penny tells a story. Some collectors even say that holding one of these rare pennies is like holding a piece of history in your hand. If you want to find one of these pennies yourself, start by checking your loose change. Pay attention to pennies from 1982 with no mint mark. Look for differences in weight, color, and shine. Some people even use small digital scales to compare pennies side by side. It might take patience, but when you find it, the reward can be incredible. And it's not just about finding the penny, it's about understanding its value. Proper grading and authentication can elevate a coin's worth dramatically. Professional coin grading companies will examine every detail and give it a grade, and that grade can determine if your penny sells for thousands, tens of thousands, or even hundreds of thousands of dollars. So the next time you reach for a penny, don't toss it aside. Take a closer look. That seemingly ordinary coin could be hiding a fortune beyond your wildest dreams. The 1982 no-mint mark Lincoln penny isn't just currency, it's a time capsule, a collector's dream, and potentially, your ticket to a life-changing discovery. Remember, stories of ordinary people stumbling upon these coins and suddenly finding themselves with life-changing money are not just myths. They are real, documented cases that continue to inspire collectors and treasure hunters around the world. The difference between seeing a penny as just a penny and seeing it as a potential fortune could be just a moment away. So, stay alert, check your change, and never underestimate the power of a single coin. Because once you know what to look for, you'll never see a Lincoln penny the same way again. Who knows? The next $400,000 discovery could be sitting in your pocket right now. We're diving into a story that could completely change the way you look at pocket change. Imagine holding a seemingly ordinary 1993 mint mark Lincoln penny in your hand, the kind most people would barely glance at, or toss aside without a second thought. But what if I told you that this small copper coin could secretly be worth up to $400,000, hiding a fortune that could change your life forever? This isn't just any penny. It's a rare treasure that collectors dream about. Struck during a very specific moment in history, it carries tiny details and hidden clues that only the sharpest eyes ever notice. And the most fascinating part? Pennies just like this one are still slipping through everyday pockets, cash registers, and dusty jars, waiting for someone to uncover their true importance. It all comes down to a combination of factors: the minting errors, the unique variations in the design, and the rarity of coins surviving in near-perfect condition. Each of these factors alone adds value, but together they create a coin that collectors are willing to pay hundreds of thousands of dollars for. Someone finds one of these pennies tucked away in an old coin collection, or maybe even in their loose change drawer. At first glance, it looks like any other penny, but when inspected carefully, it reveals subtle differences: a slightly doubled date, an off-center mint mark, or a tiny die crack. These small, almost invisible details are what make the coin extraordinarily rare. The history behind this penny adds another layer of intrigue. In 1993, the U.S. Mint was producing billions of coins, but only a select few carried the errors or variations that would make them stand out decades later. Over the years, stories of collectors discovering these rare pennies and selling them for life-changing amounts of money have stunned the coin world. One lucky person's casual find could turn into a fortune overnight. You don't need to be a professional collector to recognize these pennies. All it takes is knowing what to look for and having a careful eye. The more you familiarize yourself with the details, the spacing of the numbers, the positioning of the D-mint mark, the subtle signs of a minting error, the more likely you are to spot a hidden gem. Imagine the thrill of holding a coin in your hand that could be worth nearly $500,000, simply because you knew how to see what others missed. Let's talk about condition. In the coin world, condition is everything. A penny in pristine condition, showing no wear from circulation, can be exponentially more valuable than one that's been in change for decades. Even slight scratches or discoloration can impact its value. That's why experts always stress the importance of careful handling and proper storage. But the payoff can be monumental. Coins like this have been sold for hundreds of thousands of dollars at auctions, and the excitement surrounding each sale only grows as collectors vie for these rare pieces. There are countless Lincoln pennies still out there, sitting unnoticed. Many people dismiss them as common coins, unaware that some could hold extraordinary value. The next life-changing discovery could be hiding in your own pocket change, in an old jar, or in a forgotten drawer. It's almost like a modern-day treasure hunt, with fortunes waiting for those who take the time to look carefully. Stories of ordinary people stumbling upon these rare 1993 D Lincoln pennies are not just legends. They happen more often than you might think. One person finds a penny tucked into an old coin roll at the bank. Another discovers one in a box of coins inherited from a relative. And in each case, the discovery completely transforms their understanding of what ordinary coins can be worth. But it's not just about money. Owning a rare coin like this connects you to history in a tangible way. You're holding a piece of the past, a small artifact from a specific time, minted under precise circumstances that can never be replicated. It's both a collector's dream and a historian's treasure. Start by examining every Lincoln penny you come across, especially those from the 1990s. Look for unusual marks, doubled numbers, or inconsistencies in the mint mark. Learn to spot subtle variations that may seem insignificant but can make a huge difference in value. And remember, even a coin that looks ordinary could hide extraordinary worth. Finally, the most important lesson is this: never underestimate the power of curiosity and attention to detail. The world of rare coins is full of hidden treasures, and sometimes the most life-changing finds are the ones you least expect. That 1993 D Lincoln penny in your pocket could very well be the start of an incredible journey, a journey that could lead to discovering a fortune, connecting with history, and experiencing the thrill of uncovering something truly extraordinary. Imagine holding a seemingly ordinary Lincoln penny from 1977, the D mint mark glinting faintly under the light. At first glance, it might look like any other penny, the kind most people barely notice, toss aside, or let slip into their loose change. But what if I told you that this small copper coin could secretly be worth a staggering $500,000? Yes, you heard that right. $500,000 hiding in plain sight. A fortune waiting for someone sharp enough to see its true value. This isn't just any penny. This is a rare treasure that coin collectors dream about. Struck during a unique moment in history, it carries tiny details and hidden markers that only the most observant eyes can detect. The slightest shift in the minting process, a subtle difference in the lettering or design, can make all the difference between an ordinary coin and a life-changing find. Across the United States, pennies like this one are slipping through pockets, cash registers, jars, and drawers. They're everywhere, yet almost nobody realizes their true importance. People just like you have stumbled upon similar coins, and when they did, their lives changed overnight. Stories of ordinary individuals finding a penny, taking it to an expert, and discovering it's worth hundreds of thousands of dollars are not rare in the coin world. They're legendary. So, what makes the 1977 D mint mark Lincoln penny so special? It's all about rarity and condition. While millions of pennies were minted that year, only a handful contain the subtle mint errors or characteristics that make them truly valuable. Experts look for things like doubling on the letters, unusual mint marks, or slight variations in the design that set these coins apart. Even a tiny imperfection, something most people would consider a flaw, can actually turn a penny into a priceless collector's item. Now, imagine holding one in your hand. The weight feels ordinary, the copper color familiar, but as you turn it over, you begin to notice something different. Maybe it's the way the D mint mark is positioned, or a faint doubling on Lincoln's profile. These are the hidden clues that can transform this penny from simple change into a fortune worth $500,000. Collectors often spend years studying pennies, learning every subtle detail. But the exciting part is that you don't necessarily need decades of experience. With a little guidance, a keen eye, and some patience, anyone can learn to spot the indicators that make a coin rare and valuable. That's why this video is so important. I'm going to show you exactly what to look for, so the next time you handle a penny, you might just be holding a life-changing treasure. The coin market is booming right now. Rare pennies like the 1977 D mint mark Lincoln penny have been selling for hundreds of thousands of dollars at auctions. Some collectors have even seen offers close to $500,000 for coins in top condition. And the best part? You don't need to travel the world to find one. These coins are out there in your everyday life, hidden in plain sight. People often ask, "How do I know if my penny is worth something?" First, check the year and mint mark carefully. Look for unusual details, doubling on the lettering, misplaced mint marks, or subtle imperfections. These tiny signs are the key to unlocking massive value. Keep in mind that even coins that look ordinary can sometimes surprise you. The most life-changing finds often come from the coins that everyone else has overlooked. But it's not just about money. Owning a rare penny connects you to history. Each coin tells a story, of the year it was minted, the conditions under which it was made, and the hands it has passed through over decades. When you discover a rare 1977 D Lincoln penny, you're holding a tangible piece of history, a reminder that sometimes the smallest objects carry the greatest secrets. First, handle it carefully. Don't clean it or polish it, as that can reduce its value. Next, consult a trusted coin expert or grading service. They can verify authenticity and give you an accurate estimate of its worth. Remember, even if your penny isn't worth $500,000, rare coins still often sell for thousands of dollars. Life-changing money for something that may have been sitting in your pocket or jar for years. The thrill of discovery is unmatched. Imagine the moment when you realize that a coin you've been holding without a second thought could actually be worth more than most people make in a lifetime. That's the excitement of the coin world, and it's real. Every day, ordinary people find extraordinary pennies, and the next incredible discovery could be yours. So next time you dig through your loose change, don't just toss those pennies aside. Examine them. Study them. Look for the 1977 D mint mark and the subtle details that could transform an ordinary coin into a $500,000 treasure. You might be closer than you think to a discovery that could change your life forever. We're diving into a story that could completely change the way you look at your spare change. Imagine holding a seemingly ordinary Lincoln penny from 1984, no mint mark, the kind most people barely glance at, or toss aside without a second thought. But what if this small copper coin was secretly worth $600,000? Yes, you heard that right, $600,000 hiding in plain sight. This isn't just any penny. This is a rare treasure, a coin that collectors dream about. Struck during a very specific moment in history, it carries tiny details and hidden clues that only the sharpest eyes ever notice. And here's the exciting part: somewhere out there, pennies just like this one are slipping through everyday pockets, cash registers, dusty jars, and coin collections, waiting for the right person to uncover their true value. The answer lies in its rarity and the unique errors that can occur during the minting process. The 1984 no mint mark Lincoln penny is known for certain characteristics that make it highly sought after. Tiny variations, a slight doubling of the date, a subtle die crack, or an unusual strike, can instantly transform a simple penny into a coin worth hundreds of thousands. Now, imagine someone stumbling across one of these coins without even knowing it. There are countless stories of ordinary people who found a coin like this in their change, at a garage sale, or tucked away in a dusty coin jar. One moment, it's just a penny. The next, it's a fortune, a life-changing discovery that no one ever expects. Collectors are willing to pay extraordinary amounts for coins like this because they know the value doesn't just come from the metal or the design. It's the story, the rarity, and the historical significance. Every scratch, every mint mark, every tiny imperfection tells a story that can't be replicated. That's what makes the 1984 no-mint mark Lincoln penny so incredibly valuable. Don't worry. It doesn't require a degree in numismatics. With a few key things to look for, anyone can identify a valuable coin. First, check the date carefully. The 1984 no-mint mark pennies are distinguished by specific features in the numbers themselves: the shape, the spacing, even tiny doubling. Second, look for unusual lines or cracks on the coin's surface. These can be signs of rare minting errors that dramatically increase its value. And finally, pay attention to the overall condition of the coin. Coins that appear ordinary but are in excellent condition can be worth a fortune. What's truly fascinating is the thrill of discovery. There's something magical about holding a coin in your hand and realizing it could be worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. That small piece of copper suddenly carries the power to change your life, to open doors you never imagined, and to create stories you'll never forget. But it's not just about the money. It's about the journey, the excitement of searching through drawers, piggy banks, and old collections, knowing that one small coin could hold extraordinary value. Collectors often describe the moment of discovery as almost surreal, a mix of disbelief, joy, and awe. And it can happen to anyone, anywhere. So, the next time you're handling spare change, don't just toss those pennies aside. Take a closer look. Examine the date, the details, and the tiniest of imperfections. One day, that seemingly ordinary coin could be your ticket to a life-changing fortune. The stories of others who have discovered similar pennies prove it's possible, and today, it could be you. Remember, the world of rare coins is full of hidden treasures. The 1984 no-mint mark Lincoln penny is just one example, but it represents something bigger: the excitement of discovery, the thrill of knowing that ordinary objects can hide extraordinary value. Every coin has a story, and every story has the potential to transform a life. Stay curious, stay observant, and never underestimate the power of a penny. Because somewhere out there, a 1984 no-mint mark Lincoln penny is waiting for the right person to uncover its true worth. Will that person be you? Only time will tell. So, keep searching, keep exploring, and keep dreaming. Because in the world of rare coins, even the smallest discoveries can lead to the biggest fortunes. The next life-changing penny could be just around the corner. And when you find it, you'll see every coin you've ever held in a completely new light. Imagine holding a seemingly ordinary Lincoln penny from 1981, no-mint mark, in your hand, the kind most people would barely glance at, or toss aside without a second thought. But what if I told you this small copper coin could secretly be worth $700,000? Yes, you heard that right. $700,000 hiding in something you might find in your pocket change. This isn't just any penny. This is a rare treasure, a coin that collectors dream about, struck during a unique moment in history. Its true value lies not just in the metal it's made of, but in tiny details, subtle differences, and hidden clues that only the sharpest eyes can spot. Somewhere, right now, pennies just like this one are slipping through everyday pockets, cash registers, and dusty jars, waiting for the right person to recognize their true importance. Let me tell you how this coin came to be. In 1981, the U.S. Mint produced millions of Lincoln pennies, and most of them entered circulation without fanfare. But a few were struck under unusual conditions, minor errors, unusual markings, and small imperfections that today make them incredibly rare. To the untrained eye, they look like any other penny, but to collectors, these differences can mean the difference between a coin worth a few cents and one worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. People have found pennies like this in the most unexpected places, tucked in drawers, forgotten in jars, and even mixed in with rolls of coins at the bank. And when they discovered them, their lives changed almost overnight. Stories of ordinary people finding a valuable penny in their change and suddenly holding a fortune in their hands have already stunned the coin world. And the most incredible part? The next discovery could be yours. There are a few key things to look for. First, examine the coin's surface carefully. Look for tiny anomalies, doubling in the letters, unusual spacing, or even faint extra lines. These subtle details, often invisible to a casual observer, are exactly what professional coin graders seek. Next, check the condition. The better preserved the coin, the higher its potential value. Even a small scratch or a minor blemish can significantly affect the price, so handling these pennies with care is critical. Collectors often use magnifying glasses or specialized lighting to ensure they see every detail clearly. Another clue is the mint mark, or in this case, the lack of one. Coins without a mint mark from this year are far rarer than those with marks. That rarity, combined with a perfect or near-perfect strike, is what elevates a simple Lincoln penny into a nearly priceless collector's item. Could this really happen to me? Could a penny I already have be worth hundreds of thousands? The answer is yes, but it requires patience, knowledge, and a careful eye. The coin market is full of hidden treasures, and history has proven time and again that fortunes are waiting in the smallest of packages. Imagine discovering such a penny in your own home. You're sorting through old coins, and something catches your eye. You notice the subtle differences, the small imperfections, and suddenly, what seemed like a mundane piece of copper reveals its true value. A penny that could have been worth a few cents in a vending machine suddenly becomes a life-changing fortune, one that can pay off debts, fund dreams, or change your life entirely. The thrill of finding such a coin is unmatched. It's not just about money, it's about uncovering history, holding a piece of the past in your hand, and realizing that sometimes, the smallest things can hold the greatest value. For collectors, each coin tells a story, and the 1981 no-mint mark Lincoln penny is one of the most captivating stories in the world of coin collecting. So, the next time you're handling spare change, don't toss it aside so quickly. Take a closer look. Pay attention to the details. Magnifying glass in hand, check for anything unusual, anything that stands out, anything that might hint at hidden value. You never know when a life-changing discovery might be sitting quietly in your pocket, waiting for you to notice it. Remember, the coin world is full of surprises, and the 1981 no-mint mark Lincoln penny is proof that incredible treasures can hide in plain sight. Stay alert, stay curious, and keep searching, because the next person to find this rare penny could walk away with hundreds of thousands of dollars, and that person could be you. By understanding what to look for, how to inspect coins carefully, and which details matter most, you'll never see a Lincoln penny the same way again. Every coin in your change could be the beginning of an extraordinary story, a fortune waiting to be uncovered, or a priceless piece of history preserved for generations. Imagine holding a seemingly ordinary Lincoln penny from 1981, no mint mark, in your hand, the kind most people would barely glance at, or toss aside without a second thought. But what if I told you this small copper coin could secretly be worth $700,000? Yes, you heard that right. $700,000 hiding in something you might find in your pocket change. This isn't just any penny. This is a rare treasure, a coin that collectors dream about, struck during a unique moment in history. Its true value lies not just in the metal it's made of, but in tiny details, subtle differences, and hidden clues that only the sharpest eyes can spot. Somewhere, right now, pennies just like this one are slipping through everyday pockets, cash registers, and dusty jars, waiting for the right person to recognize their true importance. Let me tell you how this coin came to be. In 1981, the U.S. Mint produced millions of Lincoln pennies, and most of them entered circulation without fanfare. But a few were struck under unusual conditions, minor errors, unusual markings, and small imperfections that today make them incredibly rare. To the untrained eye, they look like any other penny, but to collectors, these differences can mean the difference between a coin worth a few cents and one worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. People have found pennies like this in the most unexpected places, tucked in drawers, forgotten in jars, and even mixed in with rolls of coins at the bank. And when they've discovered them, their lives changed almost overnight. Stories of ordinary people finding a valuable penny in their change and suddenly holding a fortune in their hands have already stunned the coin world. And the most incredible part? The next discovery could be yours. There are a few key things to look for. First, examine the coin's surface carefully. Look for tiny anomalies, doubling in the letters, unusual spacing, or even faint extra lines. These subtle details, often invisible to a casual observer, are exactly what professional coin graders seek. Next, check the condition. The better preserved the coin, the higher its potential value. Even a small scratch or a minor blemish can significantly affect the price, so handling these pennies with care is critical. Collectors often use magnifying glasses or specialized lighting to ensure they see every detail clearly. Another clue is the mint mark, or in this case, the lack of one. Coins without a mint mark from this year are far rarer than those with marks. That rarity, combined with a perfect or near-perfect strike, is what elevates a simple Lincoln penny into a nearly priceless collector's item. Could this really happen to me? Could a penny I already have be worth hundreds of thousands? The answer is yes, but it requires patience, knowledge, and a careful eye. The coin market is full of hidden treasures, and history has proven time and again that fortunes are waiting in the smallest of packages. Imagine discovering such a penny in your own home. You're sorting through old coins, and something catches your eye. You notice the subtle differences, the small imperfections, and suddenly, what seemed like a mundane piece of copper reveals its true value. A penny that could have been worth a few cents in a vending machine suddenly becomes a life-changing fortune, one that can pay off debts, fund dreams, or change your life entirely. The thrill of finding such a coin is unmatched. It's not just about money, it's about uncovering history, holding a piece of the past in your hand, and realizing that sometimes, the smallest things can hold the greatest value. For collectors, each coin tells a story, and the 1981 no-mint mark Lincoln penny is one of the most captivating stories in the world of coin collecting. So, the next time you're handling spare change, don't toss it aside so quickly. Take a closer look. Pay attention to the details. Magnifying glass in hand, check for anything unusual, anything that stands out, anything that might hint at hidden value. You never know when a life-changing discovery might be sitting quietly in your pocket, waiting for you to notice it. Remember, the coin world is full of surprises, and the 1981 no-mint mark Lincoln penny is proof that incredible treasures can hide in plain sight. Stay alert, stay curious, and keep searching, because the next person to find this rare penny could walk away with hundreds of thousands of dollars, and that person could be you. By understanding what to look for, how to inspect coins carefully, and which details matter most, you'll never see a Lincoln penny the same way again. Every coin in your change could be the beginning of an extraordinary story, a fortune waiting to be uncovered, or a priceless piece of history preserved for generations. We're diving into a story that might completely change the way you see the coins in your pocket. Imagine holding a seemingly ordinary Lincoln penny from 1991, the D-mint mark, resting lightly in your hand, the kind most people would barely glance at, or toss aside without a second thought. But what if I told you this small copper coin could secretly be worth $800,000, hiding a fortune that could change your life forever? This isn't just any penny. This is a rare treasure that collectors dream about, struck during a unique moment in history, with tiny details and hidden clues that only the sharpest eyes ever notice. Somewhere, right now, pennies just like this one are slipping through everyday pockets, cash registers, and dusty jars, waiting for the right person to uncover their true importance. Stories of people finding similar pennies and turning them into life-changing money have already stunned the coin world, and the most incredible part is this: the next discovery could be yours. First, let's talk about the mint mark. The D signifies that this coin was struck at the Denver Mint. While most pennies are fairly common, certain coins from this mint and this year have become extremely rare due to specific variations in how they were struck, errors that are barely noticeable to the untrained eye. Collectors search for subtle differences in the coin's design, things like doubling of the letters, unusually strong or weak strike marks, or slight imperfections that make a coin one of a kind. These tiny anomalies, invisible to the casual observer, can make a standard penny astronomically valuable. Now imagine the thrill of holding one of these rare coins in your hand. You're not just holding copper, you're holding history. Each penny tells a story of the United States Mint, of the workers who struck these coins, and of the collectors who have chased them for decades. And every year, as coins disappear into collections, the few that remain become more and more valuable. It's not just about the money either. It's about being part of a legacy, discovering something that connects you to history in a very real way. That ordinary penny in your drawer or loose change jar could be hiding a secret that has survived decades, waiting patiently for someone to notice. Some collectors have stumbled upon these valuable pennies in the most unexpected places: old coin rolls from banks, change jars in grandparents' homes, even loose pennies in parking lots. And when they realized what they had, the world changed for them overnight. Hundreds of thousands of dollars, sometimes even approaching the $1 million mark, suddenly within reach, all because they knew what to look for. First, examine the coin closely under good lighting. Look for any doubling of the letters or numbers, unusual textures, or areas that seem sharper or weaker than others. Compare your penny to high-quality reference images online or in collector guides. Even the tiniest anomaly can be the key that unlocks its true value. Remember, condition matters immensely. A penny in near-perfect condition will be exponentially more valuable than one that is worn or damaged. Coins that have avoided heavy circulation, those that are bright and clean, are the ones that collectors pay top dollar for. The story of each coin adds to its value. Coins that were part of historic finds, that have a traceable lineage or a documented error, often become legendary among collectors. The 1991 D. Lincoln penny has made headlines in the past for this very reason. For those rare finds that turned ordinary change into life-changing money, you don't have to be a professional numismatist to spot a potential treasure. All it takes is attention, curiosity, and a willingness to look closer than most people do. The next time you handle a penny, pause for a moment. Look at it, examine it, ask yourself if it could be hiding something extraordinary. Because the truth is, millions of ordinary-looking coins have extraordinary stories waiting to be told. The 1991 D. Lincoln penny is more than just currency. It's a piece of history, a puzzle, and potentially, a ticket to an entire... We're diving into a story that could change the way you see the coins in your pocket forever. Imagine holding a seemingly ordinary 1991 D. Mint Mark Lincoln penny in your hand, the kind most people barely glance at, or toss aside without a second thought. But what if this small copper coin was secretly worth $500,000, hiding a fortune that could change your life forever? This isn't just any penny. This is a rare treasure that collectors dream about. Struck during a unique moment in history, it carries tiny details and hidden clues that only the sharpest eyes ever notice. Somewhere out there, pennies just like this one are slipping through everyday pockets, cash registers, and dusty jars, waiting for the right person to uncover their true importance. You might be wondering, what makes this 1991 D. Mint Mark penny so special? To understand its value, we need to step back in time. The 1991 penny was minted during an era when millions were produced for everyday transactions. Yet, among these countless coins, some were accidentally struck with subtle differences, errors, misprints, or variations that the U.S. Mint never intended to release. These rare anomalies are what can transform a common penny into a $500,000 treasure. Collectors know the thrill of spotting these differences. It could be a doubled die, a missing mint mark, or a tiny variation in the lettering. To the untrained eye, these coins look ordinary. But to experts, each anomaly tells a story of history, rarity, and immense value. Stories of people finding pennies like this one and turning them into life-changing money have already stunned the coin world. Imagine digging through your old coin jar or checking your loose change at the store, only to discover a 1991 D. Mint Mark Lincoln penny with that elusive error. In an instant, your perspective on what seemed mundane changes completely. First, look at the mint mark. AD for Denver. Then, inspect the details closely: the lines, the date, the lettering. Many of the most valuable pennies show subtle differences that are easy to miss if you're not looking carefully. Next, check the coin's condition. While errors are crucial, the better the condition, the higher the value. Coins that are crisp, clean, and show minimal wear can fetch astronomical prices. Some of these pennies have sold for hundreds of thousands of dollars at auctions, completely changing the lives of those who found them. It's not just about luck, it's about awareness. Once you know what to look for, your everyday coins become potential treasures. That seemingly ordinary Lincoln penny in your pocket, your change from a coffee run, or coins hiding in jars at home could hold the key to a fortune you never imagined. Collectors have spent years studying these coins, documenting the tiniest variations. And the truth is, there are still coins out there waiting to be discovered. Every year, new findings shock the market. What makes this 1991 D-Mint Mark Lincoln penny truly exciting is that its story is still unfolding. The next extraordinary discovery could be yours. So, if you're ready to change the way you see pennies forever, start by paying attention. Examine your coins closely. Learn the details. Understand the history behind each mint mark and every small variation. This knowledge could be the difference between passing by a fortune and holding it in your hands. In the end, what seems ordinary today might be your ticket to an extraordinary future. That tiny 1991 D-Mint Mark Lincoln penny, hiding quietly among thousands of others, might just be waiting for you to uncover its true value. Remember, it's not just about collecting coins, it's about discovering hidden history, unlocking secrets, and potentially changing your life with something as small as a penny. Stay curious, stay observant, and never underestimate the coins you see every day. The next time you hold a Lincoln penny, look closely. It might be worth far more than you ever imagined. We're diving into a story that could change the way you see everyday coins forever. Imagine holding a seemingly ordinary Lincoln penny from 1981, no mint mark, the kind most people would barely glance at or toss aside without a second thought. But what if I told you that this small, copper coin could secretly be worth $600,000? Yes, $600,000 hiding in plain sight, waiting for someone to discover its true value. This isn't just any penny. This is a rare treasure that collectors dream about, struck during a very unique moment in history. Every detail, every tiny mark on this coin could hold the key to unlocking a fortune. And the most fascinating part? These pennies are still out there, slipping through everyday pockets, cash registers, and dusty jars, waiting for the right person to notice them. Now, I know what you're thinking. How could a simple penny, the kind we see every day, be worth hundreds of thousands of dollars? The answer lies in the history of coin production. In 1981, the United States Mint was experimenting with certain metal compositions and striking methods. While most coins came out perfectly, a few had subtle differences, tiny, almost invisible errors that make them incredibly valuable to collectors. These errors can be as small as doubled letters in the word Liberty, a faint extra line on the date, or slight variations in the placement of the mint mark, or in this case, the lack of a mint mark at all. What seems like a minor imperfection to the untrained eye is actually a sign of rarity, a clue that separates ordinary pennies from those worth a fortune. Stories of people finding these pennies are nothing short of astonishing. There are accounts of collectors discovering a single coin in change, not realizing at first what they had. Weeks or months later, after expert grading and verification, that same penny was sold for hundreds of thousands of dollars. Imagine the surprise, a moment of ordinary life suddenly turning into unimaginable wealth. First, check the year. Make sure it's 1981. Next, look carefully at the mint mark. If there isn't one, that's your first hint. Then, examine the coin for any unusual details, doubling of letters, strange lines, or anything that seems out of place compared to a standard penny. Remember, collectors often use magnifying glasses or microscopes to spot these tiny differences, because even the smallest mark can change a coin's value dramatically. It's not just about the physical coin, it's also about the story it tells. Each 1981 no mint mark penny carries a piece of history, a connection to a very specific moment in time. And that history, combined with rarity, is what makes collectors willing to pay extraordinary amounts. These pennies are more than money, they're a tangible link to the past, and a symbol of discovery. You might be thinking, this sounds amazing, but are there really that many people finding these coins? The answer is yes, but it's rare. Only a handful of these valuable pennies exist in the condition needed to fetch $600,000. That's why every penny you find in jars, in drawers, or under cushions could potentially be hiding a life-changing treasure. And here's the most important point. Once you know what to look for, your perspective on pocket change will never be the same. Ordinary pennies are suddenly extraordinary. Those coins that seemed worthless moments ago could very well be your ticket to one of the most incredible discoveries of your life. We're diving into a story that could change the way you look at pocket change forever. Imagine holding a seemingly ordinary Lincoln penny from 1980, no mint mark, the kind most people barely glance at, or toss aside without a second thought. Yes, you heard that right. $700,000 hiding in plain sight. This isn't just any penny, it's a rare treasure that collectors dream about, struck during a unique moment in history, with tiny details and hidden clues that only the sharpest eyes ever notice. Somewhere out there, pennies just like this one are slipping through everyday pockets, cash registers, and dusty jars, waiting for the right person to uncover their true importance. And the most incredible part is that the next discovery could be yours. Now, let's talk about why this particular 1980 no mint mark penny is so valuable. Most pennies minted that year were normal, circulated, and considered common. But a few rare errors occurred at the mint, things like missing mint marks, doubling on the design, or other subtle anomalies that instantly turn an ordinary coin into a $1 million possibility. These errors are what make collectors go wild and why even a single penny can be worth more than a luxury car. Finding one isn't easy, though. You need to know what to look for. First, check the mint mark area carefully. This penny has no mint mark at all. That absence could be the first clue that you might be holding something extraordinary. Then, examine the details of Lincoln's profile, the date, and the edges of the coin. Tiny irregularities, doubling, or unusual markings are signals that you may have a rare collectible in your hand. Stories of people discovering these pennies are astonishing. There was a collector who found one tucked in a roll of change from a local bank. At first glance, it seemed ordinary, just a worn penny among hundreds. But after a closer inspection and professional grading, that single coin was valued at hundreds of thousands of dollars. Overnight, what was once pocket change became a life-changing treasure. It's not just luck, though. Knowledge is your superpower here. Once you understand the minting history, the rare errors, and the signs to look for, your chances of spotting one of these pennies increase dramatically. Every time you pick up a penny, you now have the opportunity to inspect it like a detective searching for hidden clues. The excitement doesn't stop there. Imagine walking into your kitchen, opening a jar where coins have been accumulating for years, and discovering that one coin could completely change your financial future. That's the kind of life-altering moment collectors dream about. And it all starts with paying attention to the small details that most people overlook. If you've ever dismissed coins as just pennies, it's time to rethink that approach. Each coin has a story, a history, and in rare cases, an extraordinary value waiting to be discovered. These 1980 no mint mark pennies are more than currency. They are time capsules from a very specific moment in minting history. They represent both rarity and the thrill of discovery. Don't just leave it in your drawer. Handle it carefully, avoid cleaning it, and consider having it professionally graded. The grade can drastically affect the value, and authentication ensures that collectors will recognize the coin's true worth. A well-preserved 1980 no mint mark Lincoln penny with even minor errors can reach life-changing prices on the collector's market. Remember, the next fortune in coins could be sitting right under your nose, in your wallet, on the counter, or in a forgotten jar of change. Every ordinary-looking penny could be hiding a secret, waiting for the right person to see its hidden value. And that person could be you. So, as you go about your day, start noticing the coins you handle. Look closely at the dates, the mint marks, and the tiny details. Pay attention to anything unusual. What might seem like a normal penny could very well be a hidden treasure capable of turning your ordinary day into an extraordinary moment. In conclusion, the 1980 no mint mark Lincoln penny is not just a piece of copper. It's a story, a mystery, and a potential fortune all rolled into one small coin. With careful observation, knowledge, and a bit of luck, you could be the next person to unlock its secret value. The thrill of finding such a rare coin is not just about money, it's about discovering history, connecting with collectors, and experiencing the unbelievable excitement of uncovering a once-in-a-lifetime treasure. Imagine holding a seemingly ordinary Lincoln penny from 2007, a no mint mark penny, in your hand, the kind most people would barely glance at, or toss aside without a second thought. But what if I told you that this small copper coin could secretly be worth up to $800,000? A fortune hiding in plain sight, waiting to change someone's life forever. This isn't just any penny. It's a rare treasure that collectors dream about. Struck during a unique moment in history, it carries tiny details and hidden clues that only the sharpest eyes can spot. Somewhere out there, pennies just like this one are slipping through everyday pockets, cash registers, and dusty jars, waiting for the right person to uncover their true value. Stories of people discovering these rare pennies and turning them into life-changing money have already stunned the coin world. And the most incredible part? The next discovery could be yours. The secret lies in the details. The 2007 no-mint Mark Lincoln penny was produced in Philadelphia, and while millions were minted, a very small number carry unique characteristics that make them incredibly valuable. Collectors are always on the lookout for these subtle errors, things like doubled dies, misplaced features, or unusual markings. To the untrained eye, the coin seems completely normal. But for those who know what to look for, these pennies are priceless. Take, for example, the edge of the coin. Most pennies have perfectly smooth, consistent edges. But some of these 2007 no-mint Mark pennies show small irregularities. Maybe a tiny bump, an extra line, or a barely noticeable doubling of the lettering on the front. It might not look like much at first glance, but these tiny anomalies can turn a simple penny into a collector's dream. Then there's the obverse, the side with Lincoln's portrait. A sharp-eyed collector might notice a slight shift in the features, like a faint doubling of the date or the letters. Liberty. These details are so small that most people would never notice them unless they were specifically looking. And that's exactly what makes this penny so rare. But rarity alone doesn't determine value. Condition is everything. Even a rare coin with an error can be worth very little if it's worn or damaged. That's why collectors often look for coins that are in near-perfect condition, ones that have been carefully preserved over the years. A 2007 no-mint Mark Lincoln penny in pristine condition, with those unique hidden features, could be worth hundreds of thousands of dollars, sometimes even more than $800,000. Now, imagine the thrill of finding such a coin in your pocket change, a jar of coins at home, or even tucked away in an old wallet. This has happened before. Ordinary people have stumbled upon these rare pennies completely by accident and suddenly found themselves holding a life-changing fortune. And here's something even more fascinating. The story of this penny doesn't stop with its discovery. The moment it's identified as rare, it enters a whole new world: auctions, private sales, and collectors' circles where the value can skyrocket. Every detail, every tiny anomaly, is meticulously examined and verified, adding to the excitement and, of course, the price. First, pay attention to your change. Don't just glance at a penny and toss it aside. Look at the date, the mint mark, or the absence of one, and inspect the details carefully. Second, familiarize yourself with the common errors and features of the 2007 no-mint Mark Lincoln penny. The more you know, the easier it will be to spot a hidden treasure. And finally, never underestimate the value of persistence. Thousands of these coins circulate every day, and it only takes one lucky discovery to change everything. Collectors also recommend keeping coins in good condition. If you happen to find something unusual, handle it with care. Avoid cleaning or polishing it, because that can actually reduce its value. The key is preservation, and even a coin found in slightly worn condition can still be worth an incredible amount if it has the right features. Stories like this are why the world of coin collecting is so fascinating. Ordinary objects, overlooked by millions, can hold secrets worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. And the next time you pick up a penny, it could be the one that changes your life forever. Welcome back to our old coins prices. Imagine holding a seemingly ordinary 1972 no-mint Mark Lincoln penny in your hand, the kind most people barely glance at, or toss aside without a second thought. But what if I told you this small copper coin could secretly be worth $100,000? That's right, a fortune hiding in plain sight, waiting for someone who knows exactly what to look for. This isn't just any penny. This is a rare treasure that coin collectors dream about, struck during a unique moment in history. And the incredible part? Only the sharpest eyes can notice the tiny details and hidden clues that make it so valuable. Every line, every ridge, every subtle imperfection can be the difference between a common coin and a life-changing discovery. Throughout history, people have stumbled across pennies like this in the most ordinary places: jars in their homes, cash drawers at work, even loose coins in their pockets. And almost every time, the discovery has shocked the coin world. Stories of collectors finding a single penny and turning it into $100,000 or more aren't just myths. They're very real, and they're happening right now. First, it's incredibly rare and pristine condition. Most pennies from that year were circulated heavily, and the coins that survived in near-perfect state are few and far between. Second, certain subtle variations in the strike, tiny doubling on the date, slight differences in the Lincoln portrait, or unusual die marks, can skyrocket the value of this coin from mere cents to astronomical sums. Collectors are constantly on the lookout for these unique characteristics. Even one small mark, barely visible to the untrained eye, can be the key to identifying a coin worth tens of thousands of dollars. And this is where the thrill truly begins. Every coin you handle could be hiding secrets. Every penny you glance at could be the one to change your life forever. It's not just about luck. Knowledge is power in the world of rare coins. Learning how to identify these hidden traits, understanding what makes a coin collectible, and knowing which signs indicate a valuable find, that's what separates ordinary coin holders from people who discover fortunes. And the excitement doesn't stop there. Imagine the moment when you realize that a coin you've been holding for years, a coin that felt completely ordinary, is actually worth a staggering sum. Collectors describe the experience as a mix of disbelief, awe, and pure exhilaration. Because it's not just money, it's history, it's rarity, it's a story encapsulated in copper. Pennies like the 1972 no-mint mark Lincoln penny are still out there. They're slipping through cash registers, collecting dust in old jars, and resting unnoticed in pockets. The next life-changing discovery could be yours. All it takes is awareness, attention to detail, and the willingness to look closely at what others overlook. As you continue your coin collecting journey, remember that each penny has a story. Some are ordinary, some are collectible, and some are extraordinarily rare, capable of turning a simple change into a fortune. Stay curious, stay observant, and never underestimate the power of a single coin. We're diving into a story that could change the way you look at the coins in your pocket forever. Imagine holding a seemingly ordinary Lincoln penny from 1977, the D mint mark gleaming faintly in the light. Most people would barely glance at it, or maybe toss it aside without a second thought. But what if I told you this small copper coin could secretly be worth over $200,000, hiding a fortune that could change your life forever? This isn't just any penny. It's a rare treasure, the kind collectors dream about. Struck during a unique moment in history, it holds tiny details and hidden clues that only the sharpest eyes ever notice. Somewhere out there, pennies just like this one are slipping through everyday pockets, cash registers, and dusty jars, waiting for the right person to uncover their true importance. Think about it for a moment. Stories of ordinary people finding rare pennies and turning them into life-changing money have already stunned the coin world. One day, a seemingly simple penny in someone's change could be worth more than their monthly rent. The next discovery could be yours, and the first step is knowing exactly what to look for. The 1977 D Lincoln penny may appear ordinary at first glance, but experts have revealed certain telltale signs that separate a regular penny from a rare one. Every detail matters. The placement of the mint mark, the sharpness of Lincoln's profile, the depth of the lettering, even the way light reflects off the coin's surface. All of these are subtle hints that collectors examine closely. You might be wondering how a coin from 1977 could be worth so much. The truth lies in the production process. Sometimes, mistakes happen at the mint: a doubled die, a misstrike, or an unusual variation. These errors are rare, making the coins incredibly valuable. The 1977 D penny is one of those extraordinary finds. While millions of pennies were minted that year, only a tiny fraction hold the characteristics that make them a collector's dream. Collectors across the country have paid astonishing amounts for coins just like this one. There are documented cases of similar pennies fetching hundreds of thousands of dollars at auctions, sometimes even breaking records when found in pristine condition. And here's the thrilling part: you don't need to be a professional collector to stumble upon one. They could be in your pocket right now, or hidden in a jar at the back of your drawer, completely unnoticed. So, how do you identify these rare pennies? It begins with careful observation. Hold the coin up to the light. Look for any unusual features: raised or doubled letters, faint lines where there shouldn't be any, a slightly misaligned mint mark, or a difference in the texture and shine compared to ordinary pennies. Even the smallest imperfection can be the key to uncovering its hidden value. Another secret lies in grading. Coins are rated on a scale from poor to mint condition, and even small differences can drastically affect their worth. A penny that looks ordinary but is in exceptionally high condition could be worth tens or even hundreds of thousands of dollars. Experts often use magnifying glasses or specialized equipment to study the coin in detail, and sometimes, a penny that seems unremarkable can reveal a story worth millions once properly examined. Imagine the excitement of realizing that a penny you picked up at a store or found in a forgotten jar could be a treasure beyond imagination. That feeling of discovery is exactly what drives collectors to scour every nook and cranny for coins like the 1977 Lincoln penny. And you could be next. It's not just about the money, though. These coins carry history in every curve and line. They are small, tangible pieces of the past, each one telling a story about the time it was minted, the hands it passed through, and the places it has been. Owning a rare coin is like holding a secret from history in the palm of your hand, a secret worth millions in the right circumstances. So, the next time you find yourself with a handful of pennies, don't toss them aside. Take a closer look. Examine every detail. Compare them to what collectors say to watch for. You never know when you might stumble across the one coin that could change your life completely. The 1977 Lincoln penny is more than copper and metal. It's a hidden opportunity waiting for someone with the knowledge and patience to recognize it. Remember, history has proven that life-changing discoveries often happen to ordinary people in the most unexpected places. Imagine holding a seemingly ordinary Lincoln penny from 1969, no mint mark, in your hand, the kind most people barely glance at or toss aside without a second thought. But what if I told you that this small copper coin could secretly be worth $300,000, hiding a fortune that could change your life forever? This isn't just any penny. This is a rare treasure that collectors dream about. It was struck during a unique moment in history, with tiny details and hidden clues that only the sharpest eyes ever notice. And somewhere out there, pennies just like this one are slipping through everyday pockets, cash registers, and dusty jars, waiting for the right person to uncover their true importance. Stories of people finding similar pennies and turning them into life-changing money have already stunned the coin world. In some cases, people didn't even realize what they had until they held it in their hands and discovered its astonishing value. And the most incredible part? The next discovery could be yours. Let's dive into what makes this 1969 no mint mark Lincoln penny so extraordinary. First, we need to understand a little history. In 1969, the U.S. Mint produced millions of Lincoln pennies, but only a small number were struck without a mint mark, creating an extreme rarity for collectors. The no mint mark variety is much harder to find than the standard pennies from that year, which instantly adds to its value. But rarity alone isn't the only thing collectors are looking for. These coins often have subtle differences, small errors, or unique characteristics that make them highly sought after. Scratches, doubling, or misaligned dies can sometimes turn an ordinary coin into a collector's dream. And the 1969 no mint mark penny? It has all the potential to be that life-changing find. Now, here's the thing. Most people have pennies like this hiding in jars at home, in old wallets, or even among their loose change. Imagine sifting through a pile of pennies and suddenly noticing one that looks slightly different. Maybe the date is sharper, or the mint mark is missing entirely. That's the moment when you realize you might be holding something incredibly rare. Experts advise collectors to look closely at the coin's details: the thickness of the letters, the spacing of the numbers, and even the subtle texture on Lincoln's profile. These are the tiny clues that separate a common penny from one worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. With practice, your eye becomes trained to spot these hidden gems, and suddenly, ordinary pennies start to feel like potential treasures. Think about the stories we've heard over the years. There was a collector who stumbled upon a single 1969 no-mint mark penny in a bag of old change at a flea market. At first, he thought it was just another coin, but after a closer inspection and verification from an expert, he realized he had discovered a piece worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. That one simple moment changed his life forever, and it could happen to you too. It's not just about the money, though. Finding a rare penny like this connects you to history. Each coin tells a story about the era it was minted in, the people who handled it, and the journey it took before landing in your hands. Holding it feels like holding a small piece of time itself, a tangible connection to decades of history, waiting to be appreciated and valued. First, take a careful look at the pennies you already have. Examine every coin closely, looking for missing mint marks, unusual markings, or imperfections that stand out. Second, consider visiting local coin shops, estate sales, or flea markets. Many of these coins are still hiding in plain sight, waiting for someone who knows what to look for. And finally, educate yourself. Learn the subtle differences between a common penny and one of these rare 1969 no-mint mark Lincoln pennies. Knowledge is the key to unlocking the hidden value that's been under your nose all along. Remember, this isn't just a story about money. It's a story about discovery, history, and the thrill of finding something extraordinary in the most ordinary places. Every time you hold a penny, think about the possibilities. That small copper coin in your hand could be worth far more than you ever imagined. So, take your time, look carefully, and never underestimate the power of the little things around you. Somewhere in your change, in a dusty jar, or tucked away in an old wallet, the next 1969 no-mint mark Lincoln penny worth $300,000 could be waiting for you. And when you find it, you'll experience a moment you'll never forget. The moment you realize that the ordinary can sometimes be extraordinarily valuable.